Standing, yes, sir. We're standing.
Okay, go right ahead, sir.
Yes, I'd like to know just how serious and significant the cuts in city services will be. Essentials, police, fire, EMS. How serious are we going to be cut?
I think that's a question for 40 people have been laid off. In every department in the city, we've had layoffs. Is that correct, Mayor?
Yes.
Okay. There are a couple of other issues. Perhaps someone from council who introduced legislation about public service would like to respond to that question. Okay. Well, sir, right now, there are 40 folks that have been laid off in every department, so you can look for cuts in every area of the city. That includes the vital services of garbage collection. That includes other areas that I think is a part of what I'm hearing from your municipal government. Sir, go right ahead.
Hello, my name is Brian Hatton. Earlier, when you first started speaking, you said something that leadership has to come together. So I'm not really concerned about what happens if we go into fiscal emergency, because it's not going to happen. I think it's time for, this is the core team. I've been gone from the city for about 2 years. I've been recovering from a spinal cord injury, and I'm back. And when I look around, this is the core team. These are the people that I always see at every meeting, at every gathering. People, it's time for us to come together. We should start meeting weekly, bi-weekly or something to figure out a way to help our city. That's where we're at right now. I want to thank my Councilman Brownlee for standing up and saying something. That's one of the most important things in the city. We need to hear from you guys. We want to hear from you, but we need to help our leaders. That's the bottom line. So let's come together, mayor, council. Let's see if we can organize something where we can meet, to come together, to start talking about ways to better save our community. The thugs do it. The thugs do it every day. They come together and meet and figure out how to destroy it. So let's see if we can get together and save.
Mr. Henry, it's good to see you. You look good, man. Let me just say this. You are absolutely right. If you remember, I began my comments by saying this is where we are, this is where we want to go, and how to get there is the plan that is going to be submitted when? August 8th. Okay, yes ma'am.
Hello family. My question. We know the problem. Let's get into the solution. Okay? We need to make money. Okay? How can we, as a family of Maple Heights, come together with our political mayor, whatever, yada, 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 and come up with a plan in what, 60-something days? Okay, I have more than a question, but I want to be more so in the solution. Now, the only commodity that I can see with my eyes that has been broke down for almost since I started working at Learnings at South Camp. All right. Oh, it's been longer than 10. Oh, no. Now, I'm looking at a vision. Okay, this is where I'm at. If I can't see it, I can't do it. I can't do it. Okay. Now, here comes Southgate. Where y'all at? Okay. Where you at? Okay, hold up. Remember it used to be Country Buffet? Okay, they building something over there now, right? Right now as we speak. Don't know what's really happening, you know what I'm saying, because we don't know until the next day is on. Okay, where the money at? That's what I'm asking, where the money at? Okay, now that's one thing I see as a vision. It won't work in those 60-something days. You know, even if my thought, where my heart and my spirit go to, is the elderly and the children. Something like a summer camp open up one of those stores, you know what I'm saying, and have a summer camp for the children to teach them something and prepare them for school when it starts open. People always want good care for their children while they go to work in the summer instead of letting them loose in the city. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no swimming pool. Ain't nothing for them to do but knock at my door. Cause I'm Auntie Nene. I care. I care about our people. Been here since 1964. Graduated in 1973 from Maple Heights with a diploma for nothing. But I got common sense. And I got God-like sense. And I see what's going on. And it ain't nothing good for us. All of us. Now, solution? Southgate. What we gonna do with that property? The other one I see is Mapletown. Why did they run by right out? You know, revenue, we talking about solutions. You know, I see Mr. Jones up in here that's been here since I was a kid, Farmer Jones. You know what I'm saying? That's a commodity while you're playing. And I'm sure he's willing to work with the community. Anybody. I'm a cosmetologist. Thank you, Lord. But I don't do weave, okay? I grow hair. You know what I'm saying? And I love what I do. But I'm going on 60, you know. And I want to see our neighborhood for the mothers that I know, the fathers, everybody that growed up here just from like a little seed planet, okay? Here we are once again. Hold up, checkmate. The railroad tracks. We got money for them as we speak, Auditor. Dave Yost, there's money in the railroad tracks. Hold up, don't believe it. Don't believe it. Long as they rolling, we got money. We get paid. And they roll 24/7, 365. Mayor Lansky, holler at your girl, because you really need to get with somebody. I come behind, my mother passed on the baton to me, Lou Jesse Williams. Now the originators and the orchestrators ain't got their right mind.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
I just want to let you know, and take that into suggestion. It's available.
Ms. Williams, you make some very good points. Let me just briefly give you a response. Ms. Williams,
Yes.
your first question was about the shopping center. Okay?
Yes.
Here is the problem that we have. I described it here when I walked in. When I was a little boy, we used to go to what was called Southgate, USA.
Right.
There was no Randall Park Mall. There was no Meadowbrook. There was hardly shopping centers in just about all this area. That was the place to go when I was a little boy, right?
Yeah.
And so after that, there was a lot of investment in this community. Why? Because y'all spent a lot of money.
Absolutely.
All right? And businessmen said, let's build some shopping centers. Okay? Now, here's the problem with the industry. This is a national issue. It's not just this community, right? When this area was redistricted, I looked at all of the commercial areas in this district, and we had a meeting with all of the cities, and we took a delegation to the shopping center convention. Now, why do we do that? At our own expense, out of our own pockets, we went to Las Vegas to the International Shopping Center Convention.
Okay.
That is where all of the retailers go. Now, the reason we went there is because in the last census, everybody on your street wasn't counted, right? When they advertised for the census and count, right? Our numbers was down. Ohio lost 2 congressional districts across the state of Ohio because our population didn't grow. We still have 11.5 million people, but our growth was not consistent with the rest of the country, so there was a shift. Now, people who invest in real estate, Ohio's okay. It used to be with Randall Park Mall. It used to be with Southgate USA. It used to be with Bedford Meadows. It used to be where TJ Maxx and Kenny Kings and all those places were around here, Lee Harvard Shopping Center, all around, we all the same community, right? Because of the population loss, a lot of national retailers that we depend on, they said, we're not only going to leave, we're not coming back right now, right? So we sat down and had a discussion about how to reformulate things a little bit, right? And I'm not going to tell you it's easy. That's not an easy process, but you got to begin to have a discussion because Maple Heights cannot escape Warrensville. Warrensville cannot escape Maple Heights, cannot escape Bedford, and Bedford Heights cannot escape all of these other areas. We're all in this together. And so having discussions together, we're hoping at some point in time, we're able to develop the right formula to respond to fulfilling that. Now, with respect to Southgate USA specific, everyone here knows it's been sold?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know it's been sold.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have new owners in there now, and the hope is that as retailers, as commercial real estate owners, they have the influence to bring that in. And but I'm gonna tell y'all something, right? We don't have to support them people when they come in there. When folks are at the counter and they're servicing people and they're our relatives, we want to make sure that people can come in here and do what? Why do people go in business?
Make money.
To make money, right? And in exchange for that, what do? Provide what? Jobs, right? And that's what we've got to focus on in terms of our discipline as a community to respond to those issues. And you think that's easy? That's not easy. That's real tough, right? But we want to let them know. We want you to go up to Home Depot and buy your flowers. We want you to go up there and get your ladders, your paints, and all of that stuff. Let people know these people want us to stay here and keep our jobs. And then when the new people come in, we want to make sure that we establish a relationship, one, so the jobs can come from here. Our young people you were talking about in terms of having a summer camp will have an opportunity for a job. Is that easy without your cooperation? No. And so that's why meetings like this are purposeful, because it has to continue. And we've got to have these discussions in an ongoing way. Finally, with respect to the intermodum, that's something that you have to decide whether or not you want it to grow. Okay. And there are opportunities. CSX is a partner. And I'm sure that the council and this mayor will work with them. And my office certainly is open to work with them as well. Yes, sir. And I'm going to walk over to you guys, okay? I know, yes, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My question is, out of the 44 people that were laid off, how many of them were actually residents of Maple Heights? And why is it that we hire our outsiders, not even people in this city? And why is the money leaving the city? That's what I want to know. And I'm Mr. Carter of District 5. I reside at 5475 Grasmere.
Okay, Mr. Carter, I think that's an excellent question. And let me respond. I'm gonna let the city respond, but I'm gonna tell you, there's an opportunity, and I think that if anybody from council or the mayor would like to respond to that, here's the mic. But Mr. Carter, that's something that should be in your suggestion, and that's something that we will work on. Okay, I promise you that. Yes, sir.
Are you referring to me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Notice the people that we have here. How many?
Sir, excuse me one second. You had a chance. Let me give some of these folks that didn't have chances.
That's right.
Well, I'm asking if the city would like to respond to his question, they can, but let me say this, ma'am. City can respond to that, any council member can respond to that. Mayor, anybody, what? Pardon me?
Can they do it now since we're here?
Well, that's up to them, ma'am. I can't make them respond, but let me say this. They, absolutely. Any of the council, what ward do you live in, ma'am?
I'm in 6, but I still want to know about the 40.
Okay, and so you want your council person to respond?
Well, I want you to tell us now like you asked. That's all.
Okay, who would like to respond for the city of Maple Heights?
Let the mayor answer.
Okay, Mayor Lansky's going to answer your question. Hold on.
Now answer his question.
Yeah, his question.
Yes.
Are you ready for me to answer?
Yes, I am, sir. I'm open for you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that, and I'd like the opportunity to answer your question.
Okay.
I do not have every address and city of every employee that was laid off.
You have one?
Okay, I'd like to answer your question.
Okay.
Okay? There were about 40 people laid off. There were another 20 on top of that quit or retired. So that's a total of 60. The dollar amount, with all those salaries added up, was $3,351,000. I rounded it up. Okay? We had a tax administrator who retired. He lived in the city, still does live in the city. A payroll coordinator retired. 2 secretaries were laid off. They didn't live in the city. Now look, I'd like to answer the question, but if there's going to be comments and outbursts, I'm not going to answer it, okay? I've afforded the courtesy to listen as Mr. Barnes has, as Mr. Yost has. So please allow me the same courtesy.
Let's keep this as family, and as for the order of the meeting, I will conduct it. And please allow the mayor to respond to the question. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. The building department. Some of you may be aware that we, for lack of a better word, privatized the building department. We contracted it out. We lost the building commissioner. He did not live here. 5 building inspectors. Only 1 of them lived here. The other 4 did not. The remaining building inspector still does live here. 4 secretaries. 2 lived here, 2 did not. 3 school guards recently retired. A juvenile diversion officer retired. He did not live here. The assistant fire chief retired. He did not live here. We had 4 firefighters laid off. 1 captain retired, 2 other firefighters retired. That's a total of 7. None of them lived here. The custodial department, maintenance, janitors, we lost 3. They did not live here. We had a secretary that was laid off in the service department. She did not live here. The economic development director recently resigned. That position has not been filled. She did not live here either. A recreation technician was recently laid off. He did not live here either. In the service department, we had 3 mechanics who, one retired, the 2 others were laid off. They did not live here either. 4 laborers were one retired, one took voluntary unemployment, and 2 more were laid off. They didn't live here either. We had 5 drivers, Teamsters. 3 of them retired. 2 of them were laid off. None of them lived in Maple Heights either. The senior center, we had a nutritional coordinator that was laid off. She did not live here. We had a food service coordinator laid off, didn't live here either. 3 van drivers. I'm not done yet, and I asked you to let me finish, please. 3 van drivers. 1 retired, he does live here. The other 2 were laid off, they didn't live here. 1 secretary was laid off part-time, she did not live here either. In the police department, we had 3 special police officers who were laid off. None of them lived in Maple Heights. And 6 police officers have, between resigning for other communities, to go work for other communities, and also retiring, none of them lived in Maple Heights either. So I think you could see overwhelmingly, we and I have tried to keep our residents working. I can tell you that I've hired more residents in the 7 years that I've been mayor than all the previous mayors combined. As far as services being cut, yes, we did close the pool this summer. We did eliminate fireworks a couple years ago. We're not having music in the park this year. We've canceled some of the other events around Thanksgiving time, Halloween, the pumpkin hunt. We won't be having the DARE program next year. We may close the jail and we may send our prisoners over to Bedford Heights. The senior center may downsize to accept or to have people visit there only. We may have to cut back on some of the things, the outreach work that we do. So we've made substantial cuts. We started doing this in 2011. In 2010, as you heard Representative Barnes say, the state of Ohio had an $8 billion hole deficit. The governor balanced the budget, and he did that on the backs of every city, village, and township in the state of Ohio. He cut the local government fund, he cut the cat tax, and he cut the estate tax. To us here in Maple Heights, that amounted to $1 million, a little over $1 million. So we started laying off and cutting back on services. We are now in the 4th year of those cuts. That's $4 million. And 2 years later, because we had a county executive and a new county government elected, 2 years later in 2012, we suffered the first full year of a 32% decrease in our property values. Now what that equals in dollars is about $1.5 million a year. This happened first in 2011. It was a partial cut, a full cut in 12, a full cut in 13. We are now in another full year of another $1.5 million cut. So when you add all that up together, you have $4 million from the state, you have about $5-6 million from the county. That's close to $10 million, ladies and gentlemen, in cuts from other higher governments. You couple that with $2 million in delinquent property taxes that is not being collected by the county. $2 million from regional income tax that's not being collected. Another $2 million in penalty and interest. That's another $6 million. So the money has stopped coming to Maple Heights. We've made the cuts. We continue to make cuts. I can assure you, if you call the police, they are going to show up. They're going to come to your house or your business. The same thing with the fire department. Same thing with the service department. Might take a little longer to get that pothole patched, or to get that tree branch removed from your tree lawn, or to get that dead animal cleaned up. Might take a little longer, but we're still doing those things. We know we have to provide police, fire, paramedic, service. Rubbish is not going to be cut. Rubbish is a private contract that we all pay for, so the rubbish will continue to get picked up every week. Some of the things that I mentioned, yes, we're going to have to learn to live without. Hopefully that won't be forever, but maybe just this year or the next. But we do have to raise revenue of some kind. Now, we went on the ballot last fall for a property tax increase. That didn't pass. We went on the ballot in May, a month ago, for an income tax increase. That didn't pass either. The margin was somewhat smaller, so we did feel a small victory there. We are going to be on the ballot again this November, because we do need to raise revenue. We know, and I've said this many times, we're not getting this money from the state. This governor doesn't seem like he's going to start giving money back to the cities, the villages, or the townships. That's reality. The county is all of a sudden not going to start collecting this property tax. We've met with them, we've pressured them, we've pleaded with them, implored them to collect this money. There's a lot of changing at the county, and a lot of people are coming and going. As you know, there's jockeying for other offices. The county government really isn't responding as quick or as fast as we would like or need it to. This is a problem that gets solved on the inside, this side, Maple Heights. We have to solve it. Our governor has made it very clear, if you need revenue, raise it on your own. Raise taxes, raise fees, do whatever you have to. The state isn't going to bail us out. Neither is the county, and neither is the federal government. Those are hard facts. So I hope I've answered your question. John wants the microphone back. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Bottom line is going back to your checkbook,
That's right.
and whether or not you write a check and you know what's there. Are there any more questions? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question and a comment. As the comment is about the young man and the people that asked about the people being cut and did they live in the city, which the mayor answered a lot of those things. And if you would go to City Hall, you can get a roster of all of the employees there, their salaries, when they were hired, and if they're still here. Most of them that make the big bucks don't live in Maple Heights, and that money is going somewhere else. My question, if the state takes control of the city, most of us here don't know what will happen to the city if the state takes control of it. My other question is to Maple Heights people. What are we doing to keep people in Maple Heights? What are we doing to entice people to come here? We are losing too many people and too many businesses and too many homes. What's happening? What's going on? Why is that happening? Are we doing something that are making these people lose their homes or sell their homes to get away, get out of Maple Heights? Are we doing something to make these businesses leave out of Maple Heights? And what are we doing to get them back?
Thank you for your question. I'm going to ask the auditor because we'll respond to your question about the gentleman getting information from City Hall. Ohio Revised Code, Section 149.43B is the Sunshine Law section. And so any information that about, remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is your business. This is your city, this is your government. And if you want to ask those kinds of questions, you have a right to that public information. Those of you who want to write it down, it's Section 149.43 of the Ohio Revised Code. In addition to that, I would like to thank residents for distributing my card. If any of you would like to contact our office, my personal cell phone number is on there, as well as our office, and Mark is in the back to respond to any questions. Mark, raise your hand. Angie is out sick, and Mark has been doing a tremendous job working with me. But if you need to contact for anything, that's what you do. And again, that's 149.43B. You can look it up online, and we're required to respond to it. Thank you for your honor.
With regards to the question about the state taking over Maple Heights, let me clarify for a minute. The state doesn't take over. What happens is you lose some freedom of choice. You get some oversight. Real quickly, the way that it happens, sooner or later, there's going to be a plan to get out of the morass that you're in. If you end up in fiscal emergency after August 8th, it will be the state's job to make sure that you follow the plan and follow the expenditures, and you can't make expenditures that don't follow the plan. But the mayor is a member of that commission. The president of council is on that commission. So I want to reassure you, it's not as though the end of the world comes. We don't have a law in Ohio like they have up in Michigan where they just take it over and do what they're doing up in Detroit. This remains a collaborative process. What you lose is some ability, some freedom to chart your own way. And I really appreciate the passion here tonight for your city. I'm confident that you're going to find a way. I'm happy to be here to try to help you find a way. Last thing I want to mention, just as I've been sitting here listening to the different comments that have been made, not everything comes down to a cut. There will unquestionably have to be some cuts. One of the things that I'm interested in, I asked my office to call Rita because Representative Barnes raised this issue with me about a month ago. And so we're talking with Rita, we're trying to understand what the delinquency rate is here on collection of income tax and what's driving that. And is there a way to do it better so that we maybe get some more of that revenue that's owed into the city treasury? So there are things that we can do that are smarter that don't necessarily mean you got to raise taxes or cut, although, you know, they're probably not going to be enough to get us over the hump, but they're part of the mix too. This isn't all doom and gloom. We can figure out how to do this. Garfield Heights, found a way out. We've had dozens of cities and villages and townships that have been where you are, looking at a tough situation, who have found their way back, that today are prosperous and thriving. That's what we want for Maple Heights.
Thank you. And in this process, we really have got to be unrelenting. It's going to require a lot of discipline. And so going back, because this is what's important. Everybody in here is going to go back home. I guarantee you tomorrow, your neighbor, somebody at church, somebody at work, somebody in the grocery store line, somebody at the babysitter is going to ask you about this. And the message moving forward that I believe is extremely important is to understand that between now and August 8th, now, that's not going to be all the answers. The law provides for that period of time to provide a comprehensive, detailed plan about everybody's checkbook again, right? And that means that it's going to require some discipline. You know, we're not going to be able to buy those Louis Vuitton bags. We're not going to be able to buy a new cruiser. We're not going to be able to buy, you know, this perfume and this little thing if we were talking about your checkbooks. And so, you know, the city is going to Kmart now, right? And so all of that has got to be in there with a level of discipline and everybody the same way. And so when you go home, please, because your being together and the community being together is that August 8th is the date that we have a plan to move forward. Now, that's going to be responsibility of the team, of your city council, your mayor, in conjunction with assistance that is being volunteered and offered by Auditor Yost, and anything that my office can do, I'm ready to roll up my sleeves. I know about municipal taxes because it was an important part of my professional development many years ago. Ma'am, you have a question? Please, hold on one second. Someone over here had a question. I will walk to you.
I have a comment and a question. I came here to learn something. I've learned that there are some people that have a personal agenda. How can we as a community get together if there's personal, if there's an attitude of, if it doesn't affect me, I don't care about it. Then how do we get together when there's these personal agendas?
Okay, would you just wait and let me comment on that?
Yes.
Yeah, what about will we be able to have the senior center? There's a lot of us seniors depend on it, and there are seniors who are shut-in that need the Meals on Wheels. You know, what about those services?
I don't know what the city's done, but I've had discussions with Linda about this. And one of the things, I've asked one of the social service agencies in my district to meet. And I've made some inquiries downstate. I frankly don't know what I can do about that because that's a part of your municipal budget and a contract that they have to provide that service. I think the issue, what happens is that when you get these grants, you have administrative costs, right? And I'm not saying that this is the exact situation because I know if someone from the city wants to respond, they can. But what typically happens is that you receive money, but it doesn't cover the administrative costs. So the city has to pick up that cost. And I don't know if that's the case. Mayor, if you want to comment on that, you're welcome to. But that's what typically happens. If you get X amount of dollars, the administrative costs to provide that service, Madam Finance Director, would you like to address the issue? Yeah. Subsidized costs, okay.